Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so it's time to talk about the Charlotte Hornets and the Lakers. The Hornets are going to be coming into LA today, facing us, and we are going to have to understand a very, very, very key thing about this team immediately. They got blown out by the Clippers real bad yesterday, so that might leave you to think that this Charlotte Hornets team is just automatically coming in struggling. But you need to pay very, very close attention to those numbers in that Charlotte game versus the Clippers, because I'm telling you, 27 turnovers took place. 27 turnovers by the Clippers. They turned over against this Hornet team. 15 of them were forced. That's what we need to understand. More than half of 27 full turnovers. I haven't seen any team turn the ball over that much in any matchups we've had. No one. Not us, not the opponent. And that is what the Clippers turned the ball over against these Hornets in a blowout win. Now, that is one of the weirdest things you'll ever hear. When you turn the ball over 27 times and a team that you're facing forces the ball 15 times out of your hands and you still manage to win by over 20 points, what happened? Well, I'll tell you what happened. The Clippers couldn't miss a three. They were like 24 of like 40 or something like that. They could not miss a three. When you have Nick Batum hitting 6 of them, Morris going for like 4 of them, George hitting them, I mean, it just becomes a situation where their whole team, Kennard, the whole team was just hitting threes, and they were letting it fly consistently throughout the entire game. So even if they were turning the ball over, even if Charlotte was playing defense inside, it did not translate to Charlotte having any success guarding the perimeter, and that is where they just ultimately were horrible. They only hit 8 of them. I think they attempted 33 of them. So when you have that type of perimeter defense and offensive issues, it just nullifies everything else good that you're doing. So that's what it is. And that's why I mentioned it first, because honestly, we can't take advantage of that. We ain't about to hit 24 threes. You know what I'm saying? So what we need to adhere to is the other side of what happened there. And that's the 15 forced turnovers and the 27 overall turnovers that the Clippers gave up in a winning situation. If we're attempting that many three-point shots as the Clippers did, thinking we're going to win that way against this team, if we turn the ball over as much as the Clippers did, they're going to beat us by 40. We got no shot. So we need to adhere to the understanding that everybody in their starting lineup steals the ball, and there's a couple guys on their bench that stole the ball as well in that game. And on top of that, this Hornet team, just in general over the last 5 games, they don't really turn the ball over as much as most teams, including us. They average less turnovers than most teams I've been paying attention to. And so you'll see them get a game where they have 11 turnovers, 8 turnovers here and there. But then you look back at the Detroit matchup, where I don't remember how the outcome went. I think Detroit actually beat them in overtime. The score was like 140-something or 130-something. But they only turned the ball over 4 times, including overtime. So you got to understand, this Charlotte Hornets team is capable of some extreme strengths as well as some extreme weaknesses. So that is what must be understood. They're on the road. It's the tail end of a road trip for them. They've had some very, very tough games on this road trip. One game where they went into Sacramento and demolished them, had a 72 points in the paint. LaMelo Ball and Oubre just completely exploded. And then they turned around and went into the Clippers arena and got smacked. But had that very strange conundrum where they forced 15 turnovers. So this is a team I'm looking and I say, okay, they had that overtime game with Detroit, as I said, where they only turned the ball over 4 times, still lost. So you're seeing some very strange things happening with the squad. And what's consistent about them? Inconsistency from most of their players. Gordon Hayward goes in and out of efficiency every other night. One night he's 3 for 15, next he's 8 for 9, I should say, something like that. And then he'll go back to 3 for 15. So you don't know what you're going to get out of Gordon Hayward from night to night. But you can count on him trying to crash the glass and getting assists to make up for his inefficiencies. So box him out, expect that he's going to try to make up for bad shooting by trying to do intangible things, and look for it, because he's not looking to score as much unless he just has it. So take the temperature with him. We know he's capable of dropping 30. We know he's capable of getting a triple-double with 30 points if he's really feeling it. But as of late, he's not really fitting in on this lineup because they got other guys that, quite frankly, should be playing ahead of him. This is one of those situations where he's like their Patrick Beverly. They would just rather him get the heck out of there so that those young guys could play. Let's just keep it real. So they're hoping that maybe they could feature him and hoping we'd be stupid enough to take his contract. And I'm hoping that the Lakers are not going to do that for obvious reasons. So That's what I'm looking at, man. Pay attention to Gordon Hayward. He's their star, quote unquote, even though you know damn well he's not a star anymore. But they paid him like that. And of course, he's going to be looking to try to play well against the Lakers like everybody damn else. Also, Terry Rozier is day to day. What does that mean? It means he's probably going to want to play against us. So look for Terry Rozier to likely suit up, even though he's listed as day to day. We know how this goes. Everybody who's day to day against anybody else is definitely going to feel good enough to play against the Lakers because they want to be featured on our floor. So count on him to want to shoot a lot. Hopefully shoots them out of the game, because that's kind of what Terry tends to do sometimes when he's a little too excited. That's just what I've noticed. Now, the thing we got to understand is, obviously, the real star on this team is LaMelo Ball. Yes, indeed. Triple-double LaMelo Ball, to be exact. He came in here against the Clippers in that matchup and got a triple-dub. And was fantastic making plays for others. Watching him orchestrate is a special thing at this point. His game is refined. He was already a basketball genius, basically, coming into the league. We already knew he was one of the best orchestrators. And now, coming off of 2 rolled ankles, he's 100% healthy, and he's balling like a superstar, basically. He's putting up the type of numbers that you would expect from a young talent such as him. And I'd expect that, being he's a dynamic guard, we're going to have a hard time with him, because as I've mentioned many times, we do not guard these dudes very well. These dynamic, super duper talented point guard dudes, we don't tend to fare well with them very much. I'll see if that helps a little bit. Now, here's the deal. We've been running Patrick Beverley and Dennis Schroeder a lot of minutes since AD's been out. And I look down at Patrick Beverley's minutes, and I realize he had 37 minutes in the last game. Now, if you listen to anybody who's talking about the Lakers with any consistency, they're probably going to mention something along the lines of Patrick Beverley in small ball lineups, and it being somewhat of something the Lakers should go away from, or something they're tired of, or just something that they see the Lakers do a lot that doesn't work for them. Some variation of that. And then you see our coach continuing to increase Patrick Beverley's minutes like he's some type of superstar. My level of tolerance and patience for that is at a minimum. I don't have any. I'm over it. I don't want to see Patrick Beverley on the team anymore at this point, let alone on the roster, running around next to the youngsters. Now, it doesn't mean I don't like Patrick Beverley. It just means that my coach has made me not like Patrick Beverley. That's it. That just means my coach hasn't used him correctly. And as a result, we've gotten the worst of Pat. And even though he's improved on his scoring a little bit, he's done the things I've asked him to do, hitting corner shots, stuff like that. At the end of the day, I just see so many offensive deficiencies, plays that just don't get complete because he's down there trying his very best, but not being able to do some of the things that other guards are just going to be able to do naturally. So we need to get away from him. And I'm worried that our coach is not going to do that, because we've been at that point for a while now. And he has not caught up as of yet. So it's costing us wins, y'all. It is. I think our games are much more competitive. I think the score shows we're much more competitive when we go with Max Christie and taller guys. Obviously, if we lean in on Thomas Bryant, things have worked for us. Wenyen Gabriel didn't get as many minutes in the last game. I know he hasn't played well since coming back from injury, but that is not an excuse for not using him. We need his size, we need his offensive rebounding, and we need his easy buckets. So the Lakers are going to have to switch some things around if they want to see any success. And, I'm just at a point where I feel like Bron does. I just am not pleased with what I'm seeing. At this point, I love what I'm seeing from him, though. He's been playing some of the best basketball he's played all season long over the last couple games, and it just hasn't manifested into a whole lot of success because our team isn't strategizing properly. Bron is picking his spots, and he's in a sweet spot, if you ask me, because now with AD down, it's kind of incumbent upon him to score a lot. We saw against the Phoenix Suns where we couldn't get any easy buckets. We were missing so many players that helped get continuity. No Westbrook, no Bron, no Austin. And we could really see we were having a hard time scoring, with the exception of Dennis Schroeder, who was just kind of doing his own thing. Wasn't really much else happening. It was resulting in us losing. So Bron is now in a position to where he could chase Kareem and not have people complain about it. Because at the end of the day, what do we need? We need him to score. So that's exactly what I'm asking him to do. Pick your spots. Limit the three-point shots, of course, because you can see it even now. When he takes those threes, bricks them, they turn into transition buckets for the other team. And anybody else does it, it's the same thing. It's bad luck for our team for some reason. I would like him to get away from it completely and try to work on catch and shoot three-point shots that maybe guys like Austin and Westbrook and others can create for him. Lonnie Walker should be shooting the three if we want anybody to shoot the three. He's been more efficient. with it, also Austin Reeves has been hitting it if Austin's going to play, because he hasn't been here these last 2 days, and we haven't played well without him. So this is one of those situations where we've just been lacking playmaking lately. Russell Westbrook's also been out for the last 2 days, and we've been having a hard time with our guard rotation. Kendrick Nunn looked, man, it was a rough game for Kendrick, man. We didn't get a whole lot there out of him, and that's being very, very kind. He's back to being his old not-so-good self right before he went to the G League for a week. And I think we need to send him back down there, man. I just don't know where he is with his career, but I do know that we can do better. We called up Scottie Pippen 2 days ago. He did some good things down the stretch of the basketball game, and then we didn't see him in the last game. I think that's something that we're probably to go back to if we want to see some success. I really am eager for the Lakers to just revamp the guard position entirely. I like Russell. I like Lonnie. I like Austin, even though he could play some three. And I like I said, Scotty. And, of course, now we got Christie in there. I want him to float around playing some 2 and 3. So with the players that we have, our coach leaning on Dennis Schroeder and Patrick Beverley is a deterrent to those guys being who they need to be and ultimately to help us. They're our future and our present because we guard better with those guys than we do with the shorter players that we mentioned. So it's just up to our coach to help the franchise, help the fan base, not go through what we went through last year with the small ball stuff that really, really irritated us to no end and didn't help us win, and get away from the same exact thing that he's doing here that's providing us the same results. So, that's when things will get better for the Lakers, when Darvin Ham gets out of his own way and allows Dennis Schroeder and Patrick Beverley to help him coach the young players rather than leaning on them to do the heavy lifting. It doesn't help us. It doesn't help them. It doesn't help the team. And ultimately, we're losing. We're losing, and basketball possessions are going by the wayside because of the lack of size and because of the poor mismatch, size mismatches that we leave ourselves with. So, the consistency for this team is just size matters. And lately, when we see size on the floor, the score is reflected upon that. But when we put those two on the floor at the same time, Dennis Schroeder and Patrick Beverley, you can see where we start losing. So look for that tonight. So bottom line is this Charlotte Hornets team has some dynamic guards, and if Rozier and Ball are going to play, you got Theo Maledon, who's playing with a lot of confidence as well. They got a guy by the name of James Bouknight, who I think may be hurt. I didn't see him on the box score, but I know for a fact that if for some reason he's capable of suiting up and he does play, he's someone who could torch us because of the same issue. We just have a guard nightmare type of situation going up against these Hornets. A guy by the name of Kelly Oubre. He's playing at an all-star level right now. Capable of putting up a triple-double, 30 points and all that. But against the Clippers, he was pretty awful. His plus-minus, I think it was minus 39. Couldn't get a shot up. He was just not his best. I don't expect that tonight. This is a guy who the Lakers are in position to possibly trade for without maybe even giving up picks. And that's probably one of the best values in the league right now in regards to us and our trade rumors. So I'd expect him to be featured tonight, just like I expect him to feature Hayward. And if Rozier goes, he would be featured as well. P.J. Washington, all these young guys that the Lakers are rumored to be trading for. We get a chance to get a look at them tonight on our home floor. So I think it's important that they play well if they want to be traded here. And obviously it's important we defend them to assure that they don't play well. So check out Nick Richards. Dennis Smith Jr. is another guard who's been out for a couple of weeks, but like I've been speaking on him for the last basically 2 months, he's a guy who has football training in his back pocket since he didn't even think he was going to be in the league anymore. He thought he was going to the NFL. So now you got him coming in with football training. Now, since he's injured, I don't know what that means, but the way he started the season, he looked basically like a guy who's trying to be most improved player or something. Another triple-double threat, another three-point threat, and a guy whose game is just overall refining. So if he suits up, and Torrey Rozier suits up, and LaMelo Ball suits up, what you're starting to understand is that Michael Jordan has a lot more assets than people are giving him credit for. The Charlotte Hornets are a loaded basketball team. Now that you got Nick Richards and Oubre and McDaniels, another one, Jalen McDaniels, who's also a fantastic player, somebody who I think they should probably be starting ahead of P.J. Washington. He's just simply paying better than P.J. Washington, and they're starting P.J. Washington because P.J. got the contract, I think. But That guy's actually playing better, and we're going to see him probably torch us tonight if he gets a lot of minutes. So keep an eye on Jalen McDaniels. That's Jaden McDaniels' brother, dude from Minnesota. We know him very well. His bro is in Charlotte, and his brother's just as good as him, to be honest with you. Just not featured as much, but he has been getting featured a little bit more this year, and he's been balling. So we need to pay very close attention to Jaden McDaniels, one of the most important players coming off their bench. Also, there's more. Charlotte Hornets have more talent, if we said P.J. Washington, Gordon Hayward, LaMelo Ball, Mason Plumlee. Now, Mason Plumlee's another guy that you have to pay attention to, because Mason Plumlee's a guy who does a lot for his team outside of scoring the ball. He's like a Draymond kind of dude. He's looking to assist. He's looking to get offensive rebounds. He's looking to draw fouls offensively and things of that nature, flopping and stuff like that. Make sure you understand you got to box this man out. Make sure you understand he's looking to make the good hockey assist play. He's cerebral. He makes players better. He gets a lot of assists on a good night, and he gets a lot of boards on a good night. So you have to understand this about this man. He's not to be taken lightly. Guys are smarter just because he's out there. That's kind of how that goes. He's kind of athletic, too. He don't get off the floor like he used to, but he's still a lob threat. He's still somebody to dunk on your head. So I take Mason Plumlee very seriously. He usually plays very well against the Lakers. And like I said, he's somebody that you got to take very seriously. He almost reminds me of a poor man's Joakim Noah. Because Joakim Noah used to be real sneaky about passing the rock. One of the best passing big men, basically, of his generation, and nobody really even knew it. Mason's sort of like that. You got to pay attention, because he and LaMelo being on the floor at the same time means that open shooters are always in a position to catch rhythm passes. Know that and know it early. This is a good playmaking team that doesn't turn the ball over very much, but they do force a lot of turnovers with those athletic wings that they have. Guys like JT Thor and Oubre and Washington, they're all going to get out in the open court. LaMelo, they're looking to run, and they're looking to run a lot. There should be a lot of pace to this game. We're going to have to use our fast-paced players, and we're going to need those little old shooters, those little old guards that we like to use, to not be on the floor to get torched by those bigger guards that are going to be out there. They're going to be able to audible into big guard lineups. They're going to run us off the floor if we do that. So we need to understand that it's not going to work. We got to go to Thomas Bryant tonight. He's going to have to be able to stay on the floor and have some success, because the game is going to be about how many offensive rebounds we can control. They got guards, got forwards, and they got centers that all look to rebound the ball. That needs to be understood. Their whole starting lineup wants to get offensive rebounds. So understanding second chance points and boxing out is everything against the Charlotte Hornets. They're not going to give you the ball. They're not turning it over. But they will not guard the three. So if we can shoot it very well and guard the perimeter against them, for which they will not shoot very well, we should be fine. In the studying that I've done against this team, they ain't had no good three-point shooting games. Like none. They're pretty much going to shoot about as bad as we are. Only the problem is they're not disciplined. They ain't learning their lesson. They keep shooting at 35 and 40 of them, and they jack up and hit maybe 10 or 11 just about every night. They're just not learning every night to that degree. So as long as they don't take their three-point discipline seriously, we should be able to outsmart them in that regard and take advantage of where they will be deficient in that area. So this is going to be a close game, man. Both of these teams can't shoot the three. I'm not fooling nobody. Both of these teams are going to jack up threes and break them. The question is, did the Charlotte Hornets learn their lesson from last night against the Clippers, where the Clippers just jacked up 49 of them, hit 25, and they actually were more careful because they had been missing more. And as a result of being more careful, they just didn't attempt enough threes. They actually shot more shots than the Clippers. It still got blown out because of how well the Clippers were shooting the three and how much of a volume the Clippers were shooting it. I suspect if they're smart, they're going to try to remedy that by shooting more tonight, knowing that they're going against a team that cannot shoot nearly as well as the Clippers did. So we need to be aware of that and play to our own strengths and not get caught up trying to do three-point shooting things. If we're guarding the perimeter well and playing our game, they're not going to shoot the three too much, so we aren't going to get blown out in that way. That's the point. If you fall in love with the three against this team, it could be to your detriment. But if you try to kill them on the inside, they don't really guard the interior very well. P.J. Washington, those guys, that's not exactly the greatest interior situation. Now, Nick Richards can block shots. In fact, Nick Richards had 3 block shots in the last game, so you may want to remedy that by understanding if they play him a lot, they got some rim protection. But if they're leaning on Plumlee, he's not going to block shots like that. You can score on him. You can draw fouls against him. So these are things that I'm paying attention to, man. Nick Richards, do not take him lightly. He is a very, very good player, just like McDaniels. McDaniels and Richards, if they lean on him all night, that's probably their best bet. because that's their best back front court, in my opinion. And those are the players the Lakers should be targeting. Give me McDaniels, give me Richards, give me Smith, give me, they got some guys, and we should want them. Obviously, Oubre is a player that you're looking at. As I said, if we can get him without getting picks, that should be something we're targeting for, someone we're targeting for real. He's got a lot of upside. He's a wing. He can hit the three, even though he's streaky. He's having a hell of a season for himself, and I think the last game was pretty much an aberration. So I would expect that he continues to play at an all-star level, because that's pretty much what he's been at all season long, and it's not a bad time to pick him up because he is young. So that's something I'm looking at, man. I think Kelly Oubre would be a good target. I haven't mentioned that, but I think this is a good time to say that. Him, Nick Richards, McDaniels, all good trade pieces to get, and I think it's a few more as well on the Charlotte Hornets team. That's not bad. Stay away from the Hayward contract, and please don't touch the Terry Rozier contract either. Let them sit on those contracts. Make these other teams pay for giving out bad contracts. We gotta sit on ours, right? Why they gotta, why they getting relief? No, everybody has to hold their own bad contracts. The whole league needs to learn to manage the cap more responsibly, so they don't find themselves in situations where they're hoping everybody else will take their garbage. No, learn your lesson, draft right. So that's what I got to say to the entire NBA, including us. With that being said, I'm excited about this game, man. I think the pace is gonna be fun. I think if we can get Austin Reeves to suit up tonight, hopefully he'll be ready to go, and Lonnie can play well. Leaning on Max Christie more so for defensive purposes and length, plus his three-point shot is falling. I love his ability to match up in this basketball game, so long as we don't sit him sparingly and not allow him to catch a rhythm, because that's what we did in that the game before last, where he went 1 for 9. We just didn't leave him out there enough to catch rhythm, and as a result, he was chasing shots. It's not his game. He needs to be looking for defense to offense, and he needs to be continuing to try to drive to the basket, because he's getting better at it. He keeps bricking layups, but he's also finding himself in positions to get offensive rebounds, and those bricks will eventually turn into shots made. I've seen that with young players a million times. Lamar Odom missed every layup. There was a few other guys that came to our team that couldn't hit a layup to start, and by the time they came around, we gave them enough reps, they were making every layup. That actually turned into a strength for both of the players that come to mind. So I think Max Christie will be the same. He's a strong kid. He just needs to get a lot stronger. And so like I said in a previous video, I want him to be getting up in the morning doing push-ups like a youngster. I don't care if you've made it to the pros. You need to still be building muscle. He hasn't gotten his grown man body yet. But when he gets it, I think his upside is going to be very, very surprising. I think his upside is much better than second round, put it like that. So I like the fact that he got 25 minutes in the last game. I'd like to see him get about 25 minutes in this one. And again, Wenyen Gabriel, I know he's been struggling, but he's also one of our most important players. And as I said, the better he plays, the better we are. He and Thomas Bryant should be getting the most of the minutes at power forward and center tonight. I understand we got LeBron James. You slot him in, of course, at 3, 4, wherever he wants to play. He can play at any position. And I would like to see us experiment with him at other positions. Sometimes when we find ourselves going with guards in certain lineups, I think LeBron James could play very well in some of those lineups if we want to go a little big. We go small all the time, but do we ever think to go big? We got Thomas Bryant. We got not Lonnie Walker. My mind is going blank for this player, and it's because he hasn't been playing well, and he needs to do better. But Troy Brown is exactly who's coming to mind. We need to use him in small ball lineups, or big guard lineups, rather big player lineups. He could play the 2, maybe play Braun at the 2, maybe, I don't know. But I just like to see us experiment with the opposite of what we've been doing. Everything's been about small ball, small ball, small ball, and in my mind, the real money maker is in size advantages, not the opposite. So we can go there with some of our players. So it's the Kobe minute. Of course, we want to salute as always. And back on thought, going big is the only way. You're going up against a Charlotte Hornets team that has some size on it, especially at that guard and forward position. They got switchable players that can do everything if they line them up properly. So we need to be able to play the same way. Guys like, even on the back of their bench, guys like JT Thor. There's another guy who can come in, catch lobs, hit a 3, high upside player to target. We would give him a much better role than they're able to give him now. These are the type of things I'm looking at. Like, Charlotte has some pieces, and because of it, if you don't guard tonight, or if you think you can go in there with old man Patrick Beverly talking about everybody short and stuff while the game is way out of hand in the other favor, he needs to understand that front running stuff just makes people feel a lot better about going against him. It is not something that people can really look at other than some folly. Him and Westbrook and Braun are bad at that. I don't know what it is about this generation that those guys are in where they think it's like cool to support themselves when they do something good, but the score is out of whack or the game ain't nowhere near over. You know what I'm saying? All you're doing is giving the generation under you, them youngsters, all you're doing is firing them up. They not moved by that the way your peers was. They not. They looking at that because they not from the buddy era, bro. A lot of this front running stuff is fake to them. And I'm just telling you the truth. The John Morants and the LaMelo Balls, they looking at y'all like y'all joke, man, when y'all do that. And guess what? So do the fans. We see it the exact same way. It's not impressive at all when you do that and the team is up by 19 and proceeds to give the lead back, or team's down by 19 and you're doing that. It's just, it looks childish, embarrassing, and without merit. Most importantly, without merit. You look like you don't know where you are or what time it is. And that's something that we don't like representing our team. So I don't want people to change who they are if that's what makes you good. About, if it makes you confident, makes you feel like you're firing each other up. Maybe it's worked into your shoe deal that y'all gotta, front run after certain plays, whatever. But you need to understand how it looks, especially when the team is trash. It looks bad. We don't like it. You're embarrassing us, straight up. So I'm talking all three of them. Stop that nonsense. Anyway, that's what I got to say, man. I'm a Laker fan, holds myself to a high standard, too. I'm trying to learn how to support the team even more so, trying to get behind some of the decisions of the coach and what he's trying to do. But his love for Patrick Beverley, his lean on Patrick Beverley is just making me lose faith in his overall common sense for this basketball club, straight up. Common sense is most important, man. If you're seeing something not work, we got to get away from it. What's up with the coaches next to him? Are they suggesting to him to continue doing this nonsense? Talk to this man. It's not working, bro. Everything we're doing small is leading to our failure. It all is a domino effect to what goes wrong for our team. It's the same thing we had going on last year. You know what I mean? And for our franchise to still want this, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare to watch as a fan. And these last two games have been a nightmare to watch as a fan because of it. So, the best thing you could do for me as a fan is trade the small players. Dennis Schroeder and Patrick Beverley, Kendrick Nunn must be traded or moved around if you can't trade them. I respect maybe you can't trade them, fine. But move them to the back of the bench where they belong. The pecking order can make sense so that the young players can move up with taller size and length. And we'll have better chances to switch everything and be able to defend against what's out there. We can't just pretend what's out there ain't out there. Like we can match up just because we are who we are and that's it. We got Patrick Beverley, so the other team's supposed to yield to that. Nah, they don't care. You play 37 minutes of Patrick Beverley, you're going to lose by 25 every night. So that's pretty much the reality. I can complain about it. I can support it. I can sit up here and tell you guys I love seeing it. But the reality is we're still getting our butt kicked every night. And that is unacceptable. And if the score looks better when other guys are on the floor, what else is there to say? Simply put. So that's what I want to see. The Lakers get their mind right. Play the right players for once in your life. And see to it that the Hornets go home a loser. We just got embarrassed by Sacramento. Sacramento was a better team than us. We know that. But we could have put up a better effort against them. I don't know if we stop the tear that Sabonis is on. You can't probably do nothing about what he did there. But the other guys, some of that other stuff that we saw, it was just matchups, man. It was just letting people shoot over small people. Just like it is every night. So that's all I got to say, man. There's nothing about this situation that you can convince me should continue in this way. Nothing about it. I don't care what other intangibles Patrick and DS bring to the table. I don't care what kind of little stuff that you may see deep in the details of basketball. None of it is valid anymore. Dudes is just too small and they're getting shot over. I don't care what type of nerd intangibles you think are there. Let's just get back to the basics and put some size on the floor, please. So that's what I got to say, man. That's it. I'm not a mad Laker fan. This holiday season, we're happy basketball is being played. Hopefully everybody can stay healthy. The situation with AD kind of has us a little sour, but we expected that. That's who he is. So we'll wait that out. Of course, we expect him to be out for the season, and we ain't going to be emotional about it. This is what it is. We next man up. We run up who we have. Braun is playing at a high level, so my hope is that our coach will trade them three little dudes, bring in some high-level upside dudes that we never heard of, who are tall enough to play the position, guys who I may have mentioned once or twice who have some upside who will probably turn into stars tomorrow, and put them on the team ahead of time so we could look like geniuses when they blow up. Let's do that instead of chasing down Zach LaVine's horrible contract and Bradley Beal's horrible contract and a bunch of stuff that's going to make us whack for a long damn time. That's pretty much what I got to say, man. My name is BDF44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.